for strategic mapping for all the schools that are damaged, that were damaged during TCW. In the bar area, so you see the board here, it's west, or 4 West 7, so this is about the area. This is the progress coming by the engineers, what it has been done on site and how far it has been worked. So you see the works have already started in. Design documentation we have completed all on 163 schools rated under R3 to R5. And these are massive damage to completely destroyed ones. So R5 is completely destroyed.
Okay.
And in total, we had 196 buildings examined, and we have new construction of 306 buildings. Major upgrading, that's where the strapping and hold down and everything is done. The engineers have gone to 836. Fencing and walkways and all, ablution block, that's 54, and schools on hold, that is requiring minimal work. So we have said later on we will come and do it because the concentration is more on this side.
For example, if you look at this particular building, it has been properly documented with photos and what are the issues with the particular building and how it needs to be upgraded. Whether it's a new building or or it needs upgrading. What has happened with the biggest problem we found, all the engineers found, the existing documentation wasn't available. So all the engineers had to physically go out to the site, and measure it up and actually do the surveys and come back and document. Now, obviously, we cannot fix all these buildings to Category 5. So if you have to do that, then like 80-90% of the buildings had to be bolted down. So what we have done in new buildings, we are complying to like Category 5 design. But all the other buildings, we are saying what best we can do to bring it up to a certain level. So basically, almost all buildings had some sort of upgrading carried out. So
whenever we've carried out work on the building, we're building it better.
Yeah.
Each and every page on this, whatever the tender documentations that you have seen, contractor bids and all other specifications. So they are tested.
Well, the Honourable Prime Minister has given an update in respect of the rebuild for the schools program and how many schools, how many tenders have been given out, and what's the process like, and how schools have been given out in clusters, the actual tendering process, the documentation process and the record keeping for also audit purposes. So that was the update that we received.
Yeah, I think all we wanted to know is really what happened here today.
Yeah, essentially, as you know, that we've had various media gatherings in the Situation Room, and this was an update that was given to the Honourable Prime Minister for him to be fully briefed on the progress, because obviously the Honourable Prime Minister was keen to find out exactly where we are at, and you could see for yourself the level of work that's involved. There are many buildings, for example, schools that did not even have any blueprint, they did not have any drawings at all. So the drawings had to be redone from scratch. Many of the schools, for example, even if they did have drawings, what was in the drawing, what was on the ground was very different. So a lot of the schools have been built by various different committees, different organizations, and also the various tender processes that have been followed, how the tenders are awarded, the assessment, the evaluation, and the final approval by the government tender board in respect to the contracts to be awarded. As you would also know that there are schools also, areas have been put into clusters. The fact that we're using various engineering firms from the private sector to carry out these works. So there's a very high level of documentation, very high detail level of information that's put in, but it does provide the blueprint for the way forward. And a number of the other tenders should be awarded in the next couple of weeks, subject to the GTB sitting. And we believe that they will be sitting and awarding those tenders. So all the schools should be, at least the construction would start in the next few weeks for all the schools. And there are over 170 schools.
Has there been a set date for the sitting?
Sorry?
Has there been a set date?
The government tender board has its own schedule, so they're independent to us, but they carry out their own works.
Sir, with the major floodings that we have just experienced, will there be any major announcement by government for the victims as far as assistance is concerned?
Well, as you know, that the Honourable Prime Minister has already visited many of the evacuation sites, many of the people's homes that was inundated with the waters. They have been provided relief in the evacuation centres. They've been given food supplies, etc.
So Sedalpo and NFP have been saying that the government should give food to the peoples affected first. Can we get a comment on that?
The people who have been sent to the evacuation centres, the National Disaster Management Office will be able to deal with that better. They can tell you exactly the specifics in terms of all the people who are giving assistance. We're here to talk about the Schools Rebuild program. Thank you.